Hello everyone. So, hi Abhishek and Veda and Navdeep. To begin with, of course, the topic is that from superhuman to real life characters. Hi, can you hear me? Am I audible? Yeah. I just want to ask, as we speak, Pushpa is making strides, as we all know, making big, huge numbers, and you, three of you filmmakers, have made films which has very real, very flawed, very human characters. How do you see Pushpa's this oversized, supersized character having such a mass appeal, and your place in this scenario? I want all of you to weigh in one by one.
Below the belt question.
And Veda, ladies first. How do you see yourself in this landscape?
Writing. Because अभी तो नहीं बनने वाली.
पैसे. Navdeep?
I mean, yeah, ultimately you tell this, for me, I'm giving you a straight answer here, is you tell the stories you want to tell. And you work with the kind of characters that you find engaging or you find that they fascinate you. And for me personally, that's always been slightly more realistic characters, people who one personally can relate with, people with flaws, because we are all flawed people, yeah. And people around you, you find are flawed people. Even the heroes you've had, eventually when you get to know more about them, you find that they have their own flaws. And that's what makes a character multidimensional and interesting. And that's what draws me personally to cinema. Of course, there is a need for superheroes. We all want superheroes. We need superheroes. Also, people larger than life. There's a wish fulfillment in that. There's a fantasy element in that. Okay, especially the more powerless you are, the more you want to see people with power, people who can make changes, people who can change the system, people who can beat up 20 people, because you all have that desire inside you. Yeah, कि अगर मेरे में उतनी ताकत होती तो मैं भी ऐसा कर सकता. So, but eventually you have to. I think there's space for all kinds of cinema. There's space for all kinds of characters, and I'm glad for that. Yeah, that multiple things can be explored.
I would have to agree with what Navdeep is saying. The superhero hero, the perfect guy, has always been a staple of our cinema. It's not anything new. So, in a sense, when people like Navdeep and Anvita, myself, and many of our peers, when we started making films, and some filmmakers before us as well, we were working with a very small space at any rate to begin with. Yeah. Now that space did expand for us a little bit, and we had more films which had more real characters, flawed as you call them, and that space again has become a little more restricted now. But there is nothing new. It's ground that we have tread before. We have seen these times before. So I think all you can do is pull your socks up and just carry on with what you're doing. Yeah. Be optimistic that you will still get the opportunity to make the kind of films you want to make. We are all, when we meet each other in Bombay and even here, we are all complaining about the way things are, that the space for our cinema is getting smaller. But at the same time, we all are working towards achieving, making films and achieving what we want to do. So I guess there's hope.
Okay, but there's this commercial consideration for, there's always this want, everybody wants to make that 100 crore film with supersized characters. Does it ever push you to ever think or consider or ponder over this idea that I would like to probably do
Hoga hi nahi na, we won't be able to do it. I mean, at least I can't do it, so at no point pretending.
Yeah, I mean, गधे को कुछ भी पहना लो वो गधा का गधा ही रहता है, which is us. So what is and depends on what, like for example, I don't think any filmmaker or any writer who sits down to write, they think कि चलो मैं हिट फिल्म बनाता हूँ या मैं 100 करोड़ 300 करोड़ 500 करोड़ 800 करोड़ की पिक्चर बनाता हूँ, चल एक अच्छी सी कहानी बताते हैं. That is usually the desire that drives any writer. Now, whether it's a writer who's writing Pushpa, or it's a writer who's writing Sheher Lakhot, or is writing Ishqiya, or is writing Kala, we all just want to tell a good story. So when you sit down to write and make, no one steps out to say, chal, 300 crore मारेगी ये picture, because फिर तो definitely नहीं मारेगी, because the whole point is that we just need to do our job really, really well and do it the way we know how to. We can't pretend to be someone else. It will not work. We'll fall flat on our faces. Having said that, what do you mean by superhero? According to me, Bulbul's a superhero. So is Kala.
Okay.
So
Navdeep?
So I'm actually going to disagree with the two of them on this one. So
This is
मेरे को-
lovely. Yes. Yes. Bring in the conflict.
So I
the
feel
conflict point. Yeah.
No. I feel the pressure sometimes. And recently meaning 6-8 महीने पहले मैंने एक script लिखी थी which Anvita has also read. I don't think Chobi's read it, but I thought it was my most commercial picture ever. Like very excited to share it with producers. They didn't obviously agree कि ये commercial action movie है. You know, मेरे दिमाग में commercial action movie है. But at the same time, every time I make a film, I think हाँ ये शोले होने वाली है. You know, that's what motivates me है कि हाँ ये I think at some level everyone thinks the film is going to be Sholay. At least I do. Yeah. So, but yeah, maybe I'm being a little too candid here.
Since I know that I'm just extending the point to Pushpa, but I have this little observation about the whole idea of Pushpa. If say this whole films of Rajamouli or KGF and Kantar and all these successes that have been made by the southern filmmakers, the deal is that all of them owe a lot to Rajini, the whole Rajini's supersized character, and Rajini has always officially has a sort of acknowledged the influence of Bachchan. So the way we say that we are actually South is doing sort of it better than us, but it's essentially us. Like Bollywood, but Angry Young Man was essentially the staple that gave birth to this. What do you think of this revised sort of a...
I've not seen that many of Rajni sir's Tamil films. Few I have, of course.
Yeah.
But the Bachchan phenomena, Bachchan was all, the Angry Young Man was a very flawed character, be it in Diwar or be it in many
But
other
he
films.
amplified it. So like
Yeah.
how Bachchan later when he became Shansha and all those characters.
Later.
Yeah. So later sort of Rajni took a leaf from those characters, became this big, and then it came back to us. Now everybody's pretending, oh, it's actually South is doing it. But Bollywood actually has done it. So I was just wondering, considering all three of you work in Hindi cinema, what do you think of this revisionism that has come to us with the character?
I just feel, when times are bad, we just need a guy to beat up people. I mean, times are not good. This is a sign of times, things are not going well. The economy is not doing very well. There are problems, real problems that people have every day. And they just want to watch a guy who comes and takes care of things without much ado,
Yeah.
So they just want to have fun. They want to pull the hair down. They want 20 mass entries and, hero beating up 20 people and dancing away. That's what they want from movies. They don't want entertainment via story so much and meaning so much. And it's perfectly understandable because you make more serious films. You listen to sad songs when you're actually happy, right?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of a thing, yeah.
Anvita, I have a question for you because there are very few female directors in the country. You are one of the remarkable ones, and you have made such interesting films. But at the same time, both the films have been they were commissioned by Netflix. So how everybody talks about how the advent of this global streamers actually changed the narrative, because you could actually make films on subjects or series on subjects that you couldn't have made earlier. Now, do you think with this whole OTT bubble, probably they are saying that it's over, that budgets are getting slashed? How do you see your kind of films in this changing landscape? Those female-centric filmmakers, because how a lot of producers are wary of giving money to female filmmakers. They wouldn't say it, but how this thing runs it. How do you...
अच्छा, बाद में बताना मुझे. Tell me the names. See, when I became a director, that time also, it's not like people wanted to make my film. They all thought that I should either continue writing what I was writing, that was safe, or make films, the kind of films that I was writing. And मैं बहुत मेहनती हूँ, तो वो सब भी मैं अच्छा, मैं हाउसफुल भी अच्छी थी.
Yeah. You have great traits.
So the story turned me into a director. I became a director because I wrote Bulbul, and friends of mine like Abhishek Chaubey, Navdeep Singh.
Yes, we shall come to the
Motwani,
Skeptic Tank
Makija.
reunion now. Yeah.
They all read it and they supported me in this decision of that I don't want to give this film to anyone else, but I want to make it. And stories, however difficult, like right now we are all saying that it's very difficult. It's cyclical. It has been difficult at different. It was difficult in the 90s. At some point in time, certain kind of filmmakers were finding it difficult in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s. Hamesha hota hai. There is a phase when certain kind of film is working a lot, and depending on what's happening, like he said, in the country around you, something speaks to them, and that is all that they want to watch. So, but having said that, koi na koi comes along who believes in the story as much as you do. Someone comes along. Just as someone comes along to watch that film or love that film, sometimes it is just that one person who believes in it, and that's all you need. You know, the reader, the first reader, the person who understands what you're trying to say. So a producer comes along, a studio comes along. Yes, it is difficult, but it's not impossible. So it will happen. There's always place for all kinds of stories. जब जिस तरह की फिल्मों की आप बात कर रहे हैं, जब शहंशाह वगैरह बन रही थी, अर्थ was made, you know, Arth Satya, Sai Paranjpe was there, Ijazat was made that year, Rishikesh Mukherjee existed. There is place for every kind of storyteller. उस छत पे जहाँ पे वो कहानी सुना रहा होगा, number of people might be less, okay, but it travels, and today we have all the platforms where it can travel. हाँ, Netflix नहीं होगा, कोई और होगा.
True, but I wanted to sort of understand your perspective as a female filmmaker and the struggle of it, because you make very female-centric films. You know, I just wanted, because a lot of people are not aware of the struggles that a female filmmaker goes through. Because I have, while working with Applause, I have, as a head of commissioning, and I've heard a lot of filmmakers talk about female filmmakers specifically, that how producers do not trust them, that, you know, a female can actually lead the entire team. There's a lot of skepticism. So it is something that people talk about, probably not officially, but unofficially they do. I wanted to understand from your side, like what has been the struggle, or if there are audience, you know, people in the audience who would be interested in pursuing this, probably female filmmaker.
So first and foremost, biology has nothing to do with intellect. And I am just a filmmaker.
Fantastic.
I'm not a female filmmaker. Then you should be addressing him as male filmmaker. I understand that the numbers are less, and therefore, you know, just so that we talk about it and it becomes. But I hope there comes a day where we don't have to keep adding our gender to our skill or craft or what we do. And if there are people who are suspicious of it and don't think that we can lead teams, खराब या अच्छी इंदिरा गांधी थी यहाँ की प्राइम मिनिस्टर, तब whatever you might think about her,
Yeah.
the point is that it's your work that you get greenlit for. My film did not get greenlit because I'm a woman. It got greenlit because it was good enough for them to greenlight. The amount of, I've written almost 200 songs. I don't get called to write the songs because I'm a woman. I get called because मेरे गाने चले हैं. You get, you're as good as your last work, you get called again. So the struggle, so to speak, I'm very lucky. I haven't faced it. My struggle was the same as a lyricist as Amitabh Bhattacharya's struggle, or Swanand Kirkire's struggle, or Varun Grover's struggle. My struggle as a writer was the same as all of us writing as commissioned writers. My struggles as the director is the same, that picture बनाने को मिल जाए, अच्छी बना सकूं. Okay? Whether it gets greenlit or not, I would think that it's the subject that might not get greenlit. My gender does not get greenlit. I don't think so. And if there are people who are saying that in closed rooms, they're not going to greenlight my films in any case. मुझे उनसे मिलना भी नहीं, उनके साथ कॉफी भी नहीं पीनी. So ठीक है.
No, I just wanted you to talk on the like prevalent sexism in the industry in a way because
See, sexism is there in banks also. It's there in every industry, okay? Everywhere in the world. अब मैं 3,000 साल पुरानी problem नहीं solve कर पाऊंगी. That is a question that I ask myself. That in this moment, is this person reacting because he thinks that what I'm doing is not right, or he's reacting like that because I'm a woman? And then I tell myself what is more important right now is that I do my job and I do it really well. And I find a way of convincing this person or motivating this person or walking past this person without having to solve a 3,000-year-old problem. There is, the more you think about it, you're feeding the narrative. You can get on a soapbox, you can write interesting posts and hashtags about female voices. Just have a fucking voice. Doesn't matter. Okay? And yes, as a woman, I might know some things, like you might know what it is like to live in Guwahati. Okay? Like I know what it is like to be a child in Guwahati. I lived in Guwahati. I read my first storybook there. It's a place very close to my heart. So I became a reader, writer, then therefore a director because I read a book in Guwahati. So I know things about being a woman just as you might know about being from here or anything else, or belonging to a certain kind of family. So you might know certain things. That cannot be the narrative. Just be good at your job. Just show up every day and do what you do. Do it to the best of your ability, because itna zyada sure, if I start thinking about it, might be true what you're saying, Ranjit. Possibly is. I know it is. But if I start focusing on that, I will never be able to write.
I understand.
I will never be able to direct. I'll not be able to do anything. I'll freeze. Because then I'll be like, oh, so sad. पूरी दुनिया मेरे gender के खिलाफ है.
okay.
अभी मेरे पास एक soapbox.
Okay.
Someone has Lux का double. Let me stand on it and talk about this. No, I'd rather write.
True. Okay, let's move to a nicer topic. So this is also the reunion of guys, the Skeptic Tank reunion as they call it. It was a writers collective, and they were all the original members of the family, and it had a lot of very, very famous voices, including Sudeep Sharma, Devashish Makhija. They all were sort of meeting, and
Motwani.
Vikramaditya Motwane, yeah, a lot of them. And they were essentially meeting every alternate week to discuss their films every Sunday. Discuss. I just wanted to also bring out this memory of this Skeptic Tank reunion. Like what were the things that were discussed in that every weekend narrative?
So it was initially set up by Vikram Motwane as a group to casually discuss scripts that I think people will send in. So you could select a script that somebody had sent to you, or one of the people amongst us would select a script, and we'd all read it over the week and then meet on a Sunday, and we'd spend the whole damn Sunday, I think, pretty much सुबह 10-11 बजे से लेके शाम के 6-7 बजे तक sitting and giving feedback to the person, yeah. And
NH10 was one of the earliest scripts.
So a lot of our own scripts went through the process as well. I think Urta went through that, NH10 went through that, Dedishkia, Bulbul, a whole bunch of, I think Lutera maybe,
Which got the harshest feedback.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
More than that, I just want to add to this. The idea is it was a tribe. Okay? We all need tribes. We need villages around us to help us become better at what we do, and also to feel safe. So you're not lonely. It's a very lonely job, writing or trying to create something or make a film. And it's nice to have people who will support you, at the same time will tell you कि क्या लिखा है तूने, it's so bad. So you need that also, honest feedback and safety. So that is one of the things that...
Yeah, which I think comes out of trust. So if you have a bunch of people who you trust, so here's the important thing. It's not very often when somebody gives you a script to read and they want feedback, largely they're looking for validation. Okay, and that's a very dangerous space. कि नहीं नहीं तुम genius हो, तुम great हो, ये बहुत अच्छी है, because you need someone you can trust who can tell you also that this is not working, that is not working, this is a problem. And it's very important to find a friend like that, or build an ecosystem like that where you have people you trust, where they can read your scripts and give you the candid feedback. That's important. So somebody who can actually pull out the flaws as well, rather than just validate you, because validation ke liye mummy papa wo sab hain, to
Who was the earliest to join? And who was the last one?
I think Vikram started. I joined somewhere in the middle, I think. But by the time I joined, you guys were already in it. And I think after Neeraj Ghewan joined, Akshat also joined. Akshat Verma also joined. And yeah, add to all of this, it was a lot of fun as well.
Okay.
So so we would just hang out, for most of the day and just and just faff around also. So we were not doing all constructive criticism. We were also taking each other's asses. So it was a whole lot of fun.
That's very nice. And Anvita, were you the very late to join in this party?
No, before me. I mean, she was one of the earlier ones, as a matter of fact.
I think Anvita was one of the founder members.
Founder members. Yeah.
Bullshit. Before him, but after him.
I don't remember the exact
In the
sequence
middle.
now. Yeah.
But who was the harshest and who was the kindest in their feedback?
From what I remember, Verma was very harsh. Navdeep also could on certain days,
He was very kind.
He was? No, sometimes he was. And Sudeep was very analytical. Vikram was very analytical. I was the gentlest, the sweetest.
And the scariest.
Tell me the importance of this drive, because writers tend to be very, suspicious of somebody else giving them feedback. That not being very receptive to somebody else giving them the feedback that they are not seeing in the right light. How do you see the idea of forming a collective and building this trust, this mutual trust? How tell me the ease of it or the difficulty of it to build this trust amongst you people.
The conventional wisdom would say that it's very hard because there's a tremendous amount of mistrust in the industry between peers. We all talk a lot about brotherhood and we are one big family, but it's nothing of that sort. But I think somewhere the way Skeptic Tank happened, I think we were all, at that point just dying to have somebody to talk to be able to, without any preconditions. So it was actually an atmosphere, and I think we were just waiting for something like that. And I think we did it, and it lasted a few years. And I think a lot of other people can do this. I think we need a safe place to be able to talk to each other about each other's work and other people's work, purely from a creative and a craft perspective and nothing else. I think it has, I can speak for all of us here that it has really helped us, even today.
Yeah, it's a great learning experience also. You might think it's, reading other people's scripts and giving feedback on it. It's a great learning for yourself also, because it's like practicing. It's like puzzle solving. Okay, acha, ye puzzle, ek puzzle hai. How do I move these pieces around? How you could move these pieces around to make it actually work together, because all the pieces are here, but maybe they're in the wrong order, or maybe the one piece you need to flip around to fit into that jigsaw, or whatever it is. And it's really, I think it sharpens your mind, it sharpens your own craft, and helps hone the.
Generally, also in the industry, when you're giving, somebody reads your script, and so there is something at stake. Either he's a studio executive or a Netflix employee or something of that sort. Here, we had nothing. The script doesn't belong to us. It's not that I'm going to produce your film or I'm going to do something in it. So there was nothing at stake, which actually the focus of the discussion was on the creative material itself.
How to make it better. And the thing is, there's no point in being suspicious of anybody when you're giving films for feedback, because it'll only help you get better. So actually selfish hota hai. If you have to give your film for feedback, your script for feedback, do it for selfish reasons, because you are only going to get better. It's that. It's not about what's the point of holding it next to you and saying ki wow, I'm amazing. No one is that amazing. So hear it from other people. Maybe the language that they speak it in or the solution that they give doesn't work for you.
True.
But feedback helps. Yeah.
But having said that, I think there were some people who had pretty bad reactions to some of the feedback and
They
stuff.
didn't like us.
I want each of you to weigh in as to through these feedback sessions, what have you learned that is your, like, as a writer, what are your strengths? Like, what are the key strengths point that you have and weaknesses that you had to overcome? Like in your writing, what things that you probably had to work on, or you're very good at?
Yeah, my mother said used to say I'm perfect, but but no, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's very nebulous. Personally for me, it's probably very hard to identify. But I think it was a learning process and just how to hone characters, make them sharper, hone stories, make them sharper, and may not necessarily reflect in my work, but 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 you know what I mean.
But in terms of, like, somebody's very good at scenes construction, somebody's very good at dialogues. Like, what kind of this key strengths and weaknesses that you learned from the sessions? I wanted to understand about yourself. About myself. Yeah.
Okay, first off, so I was, at the time that I joined the script club, so I was really, really fortunate and very confused when Motwani told me to join, because I was like, I can understand why he called these other people. Why did he call me? Because as Navdeep never tires of telling people, you wrote Ishqwala Love and
Ishqwala,
Houseful,
yes.
and all of that. So,
But that also shows your range, isn't it?
yeah, I'm very talented. So, what happened was I had the idea for Bulbul 3 years before I joined the script club. So in 2009 or 10, I'd come up with the idea. Didn't love the story. I'd written 5 pages of it, and I did not think I was good enough to write it. I thought I did not know how to write this story, so I did not write it. I was too scared of it because I thought it was amazing. And what happened was, when I entered the script club and I would see these young writers coming fearlessly with their stories, and I was like, Jaisi bhi hai inhone likhi, and now they're sharing it with us. That requires courage. And I think all the new writers who were coming to the script club with the script, they taught me courage. All of them, when I read their scripts, they gave me permission to be better. Okay? And then, of course, Motwani just scolded me a lot and told me, you have to submit, you have a deadline now, next month you have to submit. So then that gave me the impetus to write it. And it changed my life because I became a director because of that film. So I learned every day, oh my God, you can think of an idea like this. And I'm not just saying from talented people like Motwani, Makhija, Chaube and Navdeep, Sudeep. Not even from them, I'm saying from new writers. Maybe their scripts were raw, maybe they were not perfect, maybe they were not great sometimes. But every story, every attempt to sit down and do the work teaches you how to be a better writer. And I was in the script club for almost a year before I wrote Bulbul. And good or bad, whatever it is, it happened because I learned from everyone.
That's so nice. Oh, Abhishek, Urta was also in the.
Urta was the second script.
Tell us about it. What went on?
No, Urta was a very animated session, which was at Anvita's place, and I think Makhija, Devashish Makhija did not like the script a lot, so it was a major boxing match, and that unfolded. I am not a very confrontational person. So after some discussion, some of the points that he was making, I understood. I think he made sense, but some of the points I did not. So I took a back seat and let Sudeep and Makhija do the, watch this boxing match unfold in front of your eyes. But it was, everything helps. Even a bad suggestion helps, actually, because you understand where they're coming from. So maybe what they're saying is not right, but maybe the root of the problem is there. You can identify that. But one of the things that I learned while I was at Skeptic Tank was, the most important thing that I keep learning all the time, I have to relearn it every time, is economy. And that's very, very important. So less is more. You don't need this. How to be brevity, how to be succinct, how to say a lot in as little time as possible. I think that's that's the most important thing for me, that I need to keep learning. And I think that I did at Skeptic Tank. I learned how to write with economy, and I keep learning that. But that was a major step forward in that direction, because everybody really pushed me in that direction. So that was very, very useful to me. Another big thing, not exactly directly craft related, I made friends for life, which is amazing.
Yes,
I mean,
that's great
yeah,
game.
so
Yeah.
that's also a great plus.
Okay, before I open the floor for questions, I want to ask all three of you to sort of break it down for the audience, like for a layman, as to write the kind of characters that you write. What are the key ways to go about it? Like,
Read, stop looking at your phone, don't stop posting things on Instagram. It'll clear up space in your, because to sit down and to imagine, you have to be sitting down and imagining, and not. I see people today, they order food, first thing they do is they don't even let their mouth water, they take a picture. For me, I think it is that to be able to imagine, you have to sit quietly, maybe read. I think that would be my
suggestion.
2 bits.
Adib?
I'd agree with everything Anvita says. Read. But also steal from your own life. I think steal stuff from your own life, steal stuff from the lives of people around you, because those are the people you know best, and your own life. I mean, my wife complains all the time when she reads a script of mine or watches a film. Hey, that happened with us, yeah. Well, that's me. I know that, and friends complain about that. I think that was me, right? And you're like, but so yeah, be unashamed about stealing from your own life or from people around you. Yeah.
Abhishek?
Yeah, I have a very unsexy thing to say about that. I think you have to put in the hours. Writing is about writing.
It is.
Yeah, you have to. So there has a certain discipline involved, and I don't care if you're nocturnal, you write between midnight to 5 a.m. or you write from 9:30 in the morning, whatever that might be. But you've got to put in the hours. You've got to do writing. You have to do a lot of bad writing before some good writing emerges. And it's questionable if it's good writing at all, but still, you have to, in order to do it, you have to put in a lot of work. So we have this impression about any creative profession that, you have this mad genius, and he's waiting for inspiration, and the goddess comes and the muse comes and throws. Nothing of that shit happens. It's very unsexy. You got to sit on the computer, you got to, with the pen on the pad, and just keep at it until you get it.
It's a job. You show up every day for it.
Let it exist. It can become better.